Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastoya Patrani Vidanoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, looks like you're muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Text 7 and 8. Suryadvarena te yanti purusham vishvato mukham paravaresham prakritim syot patyanta bhavanam. Synonyms: Suryadvarena, through the path of illumination, they yanti, approach, purusham, the personality of Godhead, vishvata mukham, whose face is turned everywhere, paravaresham, the proprietor of the spiritual and material worlds, prakritim, the material cause, asya, of the world, utpatti, of manifestation, anta, of dissolution, bhavanam, the cause. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds, and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution. Purport: the word Surya Dwarena means by the illuminated path or through the sun planet. The illuminated path is devotional service. It is advised in the Vedas not to pass through the darkness, but to pass through the sun planet. It is also recommended here that by traversing the illuminated path, one can be freed from the contamination of the material modes of nature. By that path, one can enter into the kingdom where the completely perfect personality of Godhead resides. The words Purusham Vishvato Mukham mean the supreme personality of Godhead, who is all perfect. All living entities other than the supreme personality of Godhead are very small. Although they may be big by our calculation, everyone is infinitesimal, and therefore in the Vedas, Supreme Lord is called the Supreme Eternal amongst all eternals. He is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds and the supreme cause of manifestation. Material nature is only the ingredient, because actually the manifestation is caused by his energy. The material energy is also his energy. Just as the combination of father and mother is the cause of childbirth, so the combination of the material energy and the glance of the spiritual personality of Godhead is the cause of the manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause is therefore not matter, but the Lord Himself. Text 8. Dviparadhar Dhavasane Yah Pralayo Brahmanastute Tavadat Dhyasate Lokam Parasya Parachintakaha. Synonyms: Dviparadha, Parardha, two Parardhas, Avasane, at the end of, Yah, which, Pralaya, death, Brahmana, of Lord Brahma, two, indeed, they, Tavat, so long, adhyasate, dwell, lokam, on the planet, parasya, of the Supreme, parachintaka, thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the Personality of Godhead remain within this material world until the end of two parardhas, when Lord Brahma also dies. Purport: one dissolution is at the end of Brahma's day, and one is at the end of Brahma's life. Brahma dies at the end of two prarardhas, at which time the entire material universe is dissolved. Persons who are worshippers of Hiranyagarbha, the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, do not directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha. They remain within this universe, Ansatyaloka, or other higher planets, until the end of life of Brahma. Then with Brahma, they are elevated to the spiritual kingdom. The words Parasya, Parachintaka mean always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or being always Krishna conscious. When we speak of Krishna, this refers to the complete category of Vishnu Tattva. Krishna includes the three Purusha incarnations, namely Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, as well as all the incarnations taken together. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtham. Lord Krishna is perpetually situated with his many expansions, such as Ram, Nrsimha, Vaman, Madhusudana, Vishnu, and Narayana. He exists with all his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions, and each of them is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Parasya, Parachintaka mean those who are fully Krishna conscious. Such persons enter directly into the kingdom of God, the Vaikuntha planets, or if they are worshippers of the plenary portions, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, they remain within this universe until its dissolution, and after that they enter. Om Jnanatamidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We offer obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. So here we see in these two verses, Lord Kapila is instructing Devahuti, his mother. So in the first verse, 7th verse, that it was recommended. So we are here going through this process where Kapil Dev's Supreme Personality is discussing the travel of the living entity, how living entity is born and how living entity goes through the lives, and how one can achieve the ultimate goal of life. So in Bhagavad Gita, we see a similar verse in chapter 8 also, and where it is mentioned like there are different processes of going through from this world. But over there, it seemed like the process described is traveling through the light. Here also, it is traveling through the light. That means that we must be empowered with the knowledge. You must be empowered through the knowledge by which the darkness of ignorance is mitigated. So then when we travel, that's just like when a scientist invents something, or a businessman starts a business, or somebody, a technician starts a product or something. we understand that from start to finish, that person knows about this product or like, an invention or something right from the beginning till the end. And therefore, when we buy certain product, there are instructions coming with it. And that instructions guide us how to use that product. So that is the process, like, which is where it is says that the illuminated path. So when we are going through the illuminated path, we empower ourselves to travel and make a use of certain thing, particular thing, and make a successful use of a particular instrument or a product. That can be anything, whether it is a computer or whether it is a telephone or a cell phone or something. And then after you have used it or sometimes repetitively used it, you understand. But we still do not understand what is the internal arrangement for everything. Same way, when we have to understand that, we have to understand how that works. So that is how the path of illumination works. So we have to empower ourselves with the. So here in the second verse, he's saying Dvi parardhas. Dvi parardhas are the units of time actually, and that is basically 50 years of Brahma's life. One parardha is equal to 50 years of Brahma's life, because we know that Brahma lives for 100 years. So 100 years means 50 years sleeping, 50 years awake, 50 years of night, 50 years of, or 100 years of night, 100 years of day. So at the end, everything is dissolved. It's a universal devastation that happens. And all the personalities who had reached the Brahmaloka by dint of their tapasya, they are also transferred to the Brahmaloka, and then they also annihilated and they rest in the body of Mahavishnu. So that's how the devastations happen. And but Krishna and his plenary portions and portions of his plenary portions, they are ever existing in the spiritual. Nothing happens to the spiritual world. So they, when they are transferred to the spiritual world, and then when the Lord desires to create again, everything is brought about. Creation is again started, and from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the lotus sprouts, and Brahma is again born from the navel of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. So that's how this thing, and then Brahma has to go through a long period of knowledge acquiring, because he is the Jiva element, Jiva Tattva. Jiva Tattva has a tendency to forget. Once that birth is over, forget that you were ever born. You understand, you try to think that, you were born only in this life and you will die only in this life, and that's the end of it. So one has to go through again, just like we are born, we have to go through like, class, nursery to all the way to however high we want to educate ourselves. Our previous birth education, we don't even remember, and it is not even counted in the material world. Same way, Brahma also has to undergo same process again to become qualified. So, so that is the process. So what is the process by which we have to understand that where we don't have to take birth again is to understand our Swarup Siddhi. So there are there are those 5 rasas by which we can relate to Krishna, and determining that which rasa is the original rasa by which which attracts us the most. And every individual has a different taste. Some may be very happy doing Shanta rasa, some may be very happy doing, Vatsalya rasa, always thinking of Krishna as a child. So, you are establishing, one is establishing a swarup for himself like a parental, in a parental relationship. Some have conjugal relationship, some have fraternity, relationship as a friend. So whichever relationship that attracts you and you are serving Krishna in that way, that at the end of your perfection, that becomes your swarup, that becomes your original swarup, spiritual original swarup. And then when you attain that original spiritual swarup and go back to the spiritual world, you are able to then relate to Lord Krishna in that particular swarup, that particular rasa. That is swarup siddhi. So we attain our swarup siddhi in this particular life itself, by which, by what process? By traveling through the illuminated path. Okay, by traveling through the illuminated path, and the illuminated path is the understanding of our relationship, and then finding out the process and understanding the process, and then treading that path, treading that process, following up on the process. And Mahaprabhu has made this process very easy for this age of Kali Yuga, is by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we are able to then traverse the path, and by which, we are able to then transcend the material modes of material nature, and establish ourselves in pure bhakti, Shuddha bhakti, and at the end of giving up this, mundane body, we are able to go back and attain to that, swarup, swarup, our original spiritual position, and engage in loving service to the